Hello friends. So this is the same video which I made in Hindi just now. I'm making in English. It's about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Matrix throws up surprising things to us, and sometimes we think, oh, it's just a normal thing. Anyways, celebrities do have divorces, and what's a big deal and all that. But there is a hidden message which we need to understand. So I'm going to decode that, and I have already decoded in Hindi. So for that, as usual, I go to the horoscopes first. So Johnny Depp, um, he has an interesting horoscope as per Vedic method, and he has two planets in Mercury and Venus in Algol, which is very very actually dangerous star, we say. So Mercury is in 1 degree 56 minutes of Taurus, and Venus is 2 degrees 45 minutes of Taurus. And when we see Algol, this is the tropical position to 25 degrees 24 to 26. So he's born 1963, so you can take it as middle of that, which is 25 degree 25.2. And when you subtract 23.5 degrees, you get to exactly 2 degrees. So in Johnny Depp's horoscope, both Mercury and Venus are at Algol. Remember, when we go to constellation of words site, it's always in tropical positions. What we have to do is always subtract 23.5 from this position to get to the sidereal or the star-based position or the Indian position. And when you do that, you get the actual position as per the Indian horoscope. So when I go back to the horoscope of Johnny Depp, you see that he has Mercury and Venus, both in Kritika and especially in Algol. Now, his wife or ex-wife, I don't know if divorce is already finished, Amber Heard. She is born 23 years later, yet she has her Venus exactly in the same Algol. And I'll show you how their lives are being played out in real life also. Now, see, Johnny Depp has his Saturn, which is his Atma planet or the soul planet. It is in Dhanishta. Dhanishta means a drum. It's in fact this drum. When we hit the drum, we get a sound called dup 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 dup. At least, in fact, in South India, the state where I live, we call it dappu. And funnily, Johnny Depp's name actually has dup. His name itself has got dup or the Dhanishta sound. He's a very famous guy, maybe top 3 or 5 stars of the world in Hollywood and all that. Yeah, everybody knows about Pirates of the Caribbean. And most of his movies has this either Dhanishta theme or the Kritika theme. So see, he has acted in this Pirates of the Caribbean, which is the ocean. And when we go to the story of Medusa, you know that Medusa, how she was cursed. Poseidon, the god of ocean, he came to Medusa, and they had sex in the temple, which is a sacrilege. And then goddess Athena cursed Medusa, and then she developed all this. As per the Greek mythology, she had developed these snakes. Now, this is the same as Algol, as I told you, because Medusa is nothing but Algol, right? This head, what we call as Algol, is nothing but Medusa's head. And if you see in Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the headgear or the people who have acted. So let me open that. You see this guy. For example, I don't know this guy's character name. I forgot. Or this guy I think is Jeffrey Rush. So all these have strange headgears, and they have this. Especially this guy is looking exactly like Algol. So all the ghostly faces, horrible looking faces, all these themes are there in those movies, which is much to do with Algol, as Johnny Depp has got two planets, Venus and Mercury, in Algol. Okay, and Algol was come over by Poseidon. Now see Amber Heard. If you see Amber Heard in her horoscope, also Venus is in Algol. It's called Kritika here, but actually it is Algol, as I told you. And if you see, she has acted in a movie called Aquaman, right? So Poseidon, god of ocean or god of sea, is same as Aquaman. I'll come to this guy. This is Al Gore. I'll come to this guy. I'll also come to this story. Just give me a second. So yeah, so see, Amber Heard acted in this movie called Aquaman, and only after this movie is that this their fight became public, and there were allegations that his fingers were cut by her or something, or maybe small portion of his finger was cut. That again, that cutting theme is nothing but alcohol. Cutting of the head, here it is cutting of the fingers, and she acted in this movie. After acting in this movie, the so-called curse came over her, and now people are wanting to replace her in Aquaman 2. And even Johnny Depp lost a lot of movies because he lost the libel case against the newspaper called Sun. See, Johnny Depp loses libel case over Sun, wife beater claim. Now see Sun. So who is the lord of Kritika? See, this alcohol is nothing but Kritika, right? And who is the lord of that? It is Sun. And not only that, I will tell you something very interesting. This guy, Johnny Depp, he has acted in a movie called Edward Scissorhand. So one of the symbols of Kritika or alcohol is actually the scissors and knives and all that. So just because you're born in West or something doesn't mean that sidereal stars won't affect you. Sorry, if somebody has such notions, please remove those notions. I have already proved it through many case studies, and this is one more case study to show how stars are actually embedded into the movies as well as the personal life of these people. See, this is the video in which he said his finger was cut by her. His finger was cut, right? So, and he has acted in this movie in which he was Edward Scissorhands. The name itself is saying Scissorhands. I mean, how spooky can it get? Or how close can it get? He has two planets in the Kritika. Kritika is scissors. Kritika. This Kritika Nakshatra is symbolized by knife. Adultless natures, eating habits, surrogacy, foster parenting, illegitimate abandoned children. It is the fire god, right? See, and it is alcohol. Both, obviously, the cut off head. And coming to the Dhanishta theme, now Johnny Depp or Dupp, his Saturn or his Atma planet or the soul planet is in Dhanishta. Dhanishta is a drum, and it is also called as the wealthiest star or the star of wealth and all that. In fact, the eight gods, there are eight gods or the eight lights of the Dhanishta, and these are the various symbols of Dhanishta star. You see the drums, you see the peacock feather and all this, the musical instruments. All these are actually related to the star of Dhanishta, also known as the star of symphony. And the most famous thing about Pirates of Caribbean, as you know, is that music which plays, right? Ta-na-na-na-ta something. That music comes and you see all that, right? So Pirates of the Caribbean is famous for its music and its background score and all that, isn't it? So the eight gods of Dhanishta are sun, moon, earth, fire, space, wind, sky, and stars. Basically everything. So Dhanishta is everything, and it's also called as the star of fame. The number 23 is associated with this star, and 23 is there in many messaging of Illuminati and many places. 23 is actually related to Dhanishta. So that is one more thing I wanted to tell. And basically, Sri Ram, who is one of the avatar of Vishnu, he has Mars in Dhanishta, and basically it's a kind of a problematic star for marriages, because anybody is having a Dhanishta, like this Bheeshma, he's another character who is basically we can say is one of the Ashtavasus or the eight Vasus. He took away three brides from their kingdom, and he got them married to his brothers. And then one of the eldest sister, she cursed him that she will be reborn to kill him, and she was indeed reborn as a transvestite or a transgender. And she actually came in front of his chariot, and he threw away his weapons, and then Arjuna killed him. So Bhishma, Shikhandi. So Amba only was Shikhandi was the only transgendered person in the Kurukshetra war, in the Mahabharat war. And what actually happened was she came in between. So because Bhishma had a promise that he is not going to fight against a woman. So this is the serial. I think it's a serial in which this guy acted as a transgender Shikhandi. And then what happened? He was then Arjuna took that as an opportunity. He threw a lot of arrows on Bhishma, and then Bhishma was dead like that. In fact, my uh, cousin uh, Raja, who recently died, I told you, he has, I think, Rahu, or the north node of moon, Rahu, or the dragon's head. It is in Dhanishta, and he had cancer. So this is actually also a theme of cancer, basically. He was killed like that. So it's a karma, it's a script. I mean, what can we do? Basically, it's kind of a suffering. So any kind of intense suffering, first invincibility, then intense suffering, all this is related to Dhanishta. And then, yeah, coming back to Kritika, see, this Al Gore, he told a big lie that, there is a global warming and all that. And he told it is due to vehicular pollution and nonsense and all that. Al Gore name itself is Al Ghul, right? So yeah, so that all these themes are running in Johnny Depp's life. His probably he doesn't even know. Maybe because he's an NPC, so maybe he doesn't even know what the hell is happening with him. If he wants to overcome his karma and all that, obviously he has to change his thing, or he has to go for introspection. He has to understand why the hell these things are happening. Because see, I mean, what's the difference between them and us? The only difference probably, I mean, they are more famous, and they are experiencing these scripts in a very deep level, and they are facing it and all that. We are also facing our share of things, but at least we are trying to understand. That's the only thing I think is what separates the soul players or source players from the NPCs. I mean, what's the use of lot of name and fame if you can't understand why the hell these things are happening to you, right? Thank you, friends. So I hope you got a good picture of what I was trying to communicate. Thank you.